Hi, I'm Jeff, National Stonewool, here to demonstrate uh, three different options on how to insulate the piping where you have a union in place. The first one here, I'm going to show you how we just, this is 20 millimeter pipe, and we're just going to gouge out for the union. Then we're going to do the 50 millimeter. We're going to do a flaying method on that. And then the 75, what we're going to do is we're going to stuff that one with duct wrap. And most of these here, or all of these, we're going to assume that they're a concealed application. We'll do that. If it's exposed, we can easily finish that off for an exposed application too. First step is we're just putting our insulation on. We're marking the bottom of the 90-degree elbow. Take this off. This is my cut edge. If this was insulated pipe, I'm not going to want to put this cut edge butting up to a factory edge if I can help it. So I'm going to keep my factory edge to a factory edge and using this where it's going to get stuffed with some loose insulation. Open it up. I'm going to mark where the fitting is. And then I will simply try and make this so you can see. Put some relief cuts into the insulation. Now I'm going to use a knife. You could also use a spoon if you wanted to and just take it out, but it's really not difficult, and you're just trying to loosen up some of that insulation and take that out. The spoon works well too. You can just slide it along here and it'll gouge out. The nice thing about this here, biosoluble insulation, it's not irritating like the fiberglass insulation is, so you're not going to get all itchy and whatnot. A lot easier to work with. We now want to take off the backer that's on the double-sided tape. We have gouged out for where the fitting is going to be, so this will now just open up, go over top, close up, and we're just going to close that up. I'm going to use the back of my knife and just run it up and down, finish that off there. Just because of the display here, I put some duct tape in reverse on these here just to prevent the insulation from sliding off as we do our elbows. So the next one here, same thing. There's that one done. We are now going to do the union on a 50 millimeter pipe. The first one we gouged out for the whole thing, so works nice and easy. Cuts out very easy. We don't have any tape joints in there. Sometimes if you get to one and you didn't like that, or you think that's too much gouging out, the next step we can do is go to this and we'll cut our trebles in half. So the first thing I'm going to do here is take my insulation. I'm going to mark it now to the top side or one side of the fitting. I'll make a mark here. Same time I'm there, I'm going to go up and mark for my elbow. So this one, we'll cut this insulation. While I'm cutting, cut up for the top side. While I'm here, I'll mark out and cut for the top. What we're going to do now is similar to the first one where we gouged out. We're going to take this insulation, we're going to mark to the bottom of that fitting. Now what I will do is I will come back over, make my relief cut in there, and I'm going to go through and I'm just going to cut out the thickness of the union, or whatever fitting it is we need to cut out for. So that on both sides. Now what we do is we get the unnecessary material out of the way. Take our tape off. Open it up. Wrap it around. So there's that bottom side of that done. Now we're going to go into the top side. This is the same cut edge as this one here. So if we line up where my tape edge is, my joint, take that off. So there we are. Now we're done. Now, if this was concealed, I could get away with just using plain aluminum foil tape. So it's nice and handy to have it right on my belt. I don't have to pick it up or it's falling off the ladder or whatnot. Take it off. You get used to about how much tape you do need. Put this on. Wrap it around. I always like to use my knife. And there we are. Now that's finished off there. Just to get this out of my way, put the top one on. If that had been an exposed fitting and it was getting left with an economy finish where it's just the white ASJ, you wouldn't want to leave the foil tape here. You would want to use the ASJ tape. So therefore, instead of using that, we would then simply put our white tape over top, wrap that around. One nice thing about using a knife, back and forth, it helps you just take out maybe some of the wrinkles in there and smooth out the edges. There we are now. Other than doing the fitting, which we'll do next, another system of doing your union. Last method we're going to do here is a union just using the duct wrap insulation on it. So our first one we have where we gouged out for the fitting. The second one we filleted out the piece and we taped it for both a concealed and an exposed finish. This one here we'll get ready and we'll do this as initially a concealed fitting. So if we didn't want to do either one of those methods, lastly we can come back into what we're going to do very similar to the 50mm application where we're going to cut it into two pieces. That. I'll now go and I'm going to mark the top side of this fitting. And while I'm here, I'm just going to get the top. So there we are, insulated, but we still want to do our fitting. We will now go back to our duct wrap insulation. If we wanted to see if the width that we're going to use, if it's going to work, we can try and wrap it around. Obviously, we can see that's not going to work. So I'll take the lengthwise, find out what I need for my circumference. Cut that off. Obviously now we don't need it this wide, so I will cut that down to size. I'll use my foil tape here, put a piece on. We can now go wrap up our fitting, and now whether it's heating or chilled water, cold water, we're just going to tape up all the joints so we can eliminate any airborne fibers. If we wanted to, we can squeeze this down a little bit so everything fits inside of the fitting here. What we want to do is, if we're using 1-inch thick pipe insulation, we want to use at least minimum 1.5 inches duct wrap, 1.5 inch thick duct wrap insulation, and fill that void space to a similar density and thickness of the adjacent pipe covering. Now we'll use some foil tape here. Over the top. And we'll just make sure we press down all of our tape onto the fitting. Make sure we don't have any gaps in the tape that could sacrifice the system. If it was concealed behind the wall above T-bar, we could leave it as it is. If it was exposed, we could use oversized pipe insulation on that section, or we could do this here and then simply take a PVC fitting, put that over both sides, use either tacks to hold it in place or tape if it was cold or concealed.